With Venus in Libra, I think it should be fairly obvious. Nobody should expect to find any disharmonious resonances because Venus is the owner of Libra. So Venus is the planet that's actually cultivated the sign to be what it is. And therefore the sign is certainly going to have all of the characteristics and traits that Venus has, just in the context of air and cardinality. So we should expect to find only harmonious resonances between Venus and Libra, and sure enough, we will. The first one that I want to explore is the fact that Venus is the planet of harmony. Libra has that quality as well, of course, in the sense of it being the sign of equality and fairness, and that leads to cooperation. So the planet and the sign both resonate in a positive way on being harmonious, cooperative, and egalitarian. Hence, the Libra Venus native usually has what classics describe as good character. Good character really means they're fair. And what you find with the Libra Venus personality is that they tend to be good with leadership. Different than a Sun type of leadership, which is here's the commander. The Libra Venus leadership is here's a person who understands you, and here's a person who's actually going to be fair to you and fair to everybody, so let's all follow this person. So the Libra Venus native understands how to make things harmonize, understands how to make people cooperate, understands how to make teams work together, and hence they make quite good leaders, and they have a head start on having a successful career and rising to more of a leadership position in a career. So they tend to lead in an agreeable manner or in a fair manner. Now, as you'll see when we look at the examples of actual people, well-known people with Libra Venus, it's surprisingly dominated by males. Now, this isn't a very scientific or statistical observation, it's just my observation and an unscientific casual survey of Libra Venus natives. But I find that just like Aries Venus tends to be very magical in how it works in female natives, the Libra Venus seems to have a lot of magic, especially in how it works in male natives. And I believe it may be because this quality of leadership is more of a masculine quality. And so when the native himself is masculine, the resources of Libra and Venus are more easily utilized in their social role. The next synergy between Venus and Libra is that Venus is similar to harmony. Venus is the planet of unity, and similar to equality, Libra is the sign of cooperation. So this is really a very similar thing, just kind of breaking it out into another resonance just to make it a little more organized, really honestly. But the Libra Venus native tends to be diplomatic, again, for the same reason. They know how to bring people together. They know how to make people cooperate. So it can be quite a good placement, not just for the career leader, but also for the political leader or social leader. Yeah, they're able to balance relationships, so to balance the needs of different people and to cooperate with others, or to get people to cooperate for them. The classic texts like Astrology, they say the Libra Venus native is good in foreign countries, or they're good with foreign people. And this is why. Because they know how to make relationships, they know how to make people cooperate with each other, they know how to unify or bring people together. They're not daunted by meeting people from opposite groups or from faraway places with different cultures or different values. They know how to deal with that and not be inimical towards it. Another resonance between Venus and Libra, this probably maybe could be the first one if I reorganize the presentation, because it's kind of jumps off the page, but Venus is the artistic, beautiful planet, and Libra is a very artistic, intelligently artistic sign. So there's a very strong harmonic synergy between the planet of arts being in the sign of arts, and hence the very simple implication of that is that the Libra Venus native is probably artistic. They have a real head start in their chart. Libra in Venus by itself, without the context of the chart, means artist. And it means artist in such a strong way that even in most contexts, whatever context it's in, it's usually going to mean something artistic. A fourth synergy to bring to the discussion here is that Venus is the planet of sensitivity, because it's femininity. Femininity is receptivity. Receptivity means being sensitive, taking things in. And sure enough, Libra, being an air sign, is a sign of sensitivity, of caring about others, being sensitive to others. So you have sensitivity from both Venus and Libra. And hence, the Libra Venus native is sensitive. They're stronger leadership type, but they're sensitive, meaning they're empathetic. And because they're sensitive, they don't really stimulate arguments very often. They usually downplay arguments, so that they usually generate a more peaceful working condition, or a more peaceful environment. And they tend to be people that actually care, because they're sensitive to the feelings of others, so they actually tend to care about what other people are experiencing. So they tend to be loving. One more thing, which is actually quite important with Venus and Libra, is that Venus is the planet of wealth, because beautiful things means wealth. Enjoyable things means wealth, things that you want. And Libra is a very favorable sign to exchange, making money, doing commerce, getting wealth. So we have a synergy of the planet of wealth being in the sign of trade or exchange, and hence the Libra Venus native tends to get wealthy and tends to have a good sense for business and shopping and how to make money, how to earn profit. So those are the 5 main synergies of Venus with Libra and their basic fundamental theoretical results. Let's look at a couple of actual people who have this. Here's a list of some of the people that caught my attention that have Libra Venus. Notice there's only 2 names that are colored. Those are the only 2 females. That stood out to me. And like I said, this is not necessarily a scientific statistical research, but in my quick observation of the notable people with Libra and Venus, I found a lot more men than usual. So Amitabh Bachchan, Bernie Sanders, Beyonce, Bill Clinton, Charlie Sheen, Freddie Mercury, Grace Kelly. Some of these people I would like to use as examples, but they don't have good birth time. So it's not the best to explain anything unusual that might come up. Hugh Grant, Michael Douglas, Nick Jonas, Oscar Wilde, Pablo Picasso, Sean Connery, Stephen King, Viggo Mortensen, Warren Buffett, Will Smith, Woody Allen. So the 2 names that are underlined, Pablo Picasso and Warren Buffett, let's take a more detailed look at their charts. Here is Pablo Picasso. You see that he has Venus in Libra, and you should be able to see that it's in the 3rd house. 3rd is the house of what? Your hands. And it's also in the Hasta Nakshatra, which is, Hasta means hands. And I've seen this repeatedly in people who have excellent skill with drawing, sketching, painting, etc. is Venus in Hasta in the 3rd house. And for Pablo Picasso, I can't exactly see the degrees, but you can zoom in and you can see. Let me take a look. I don't want to. 5 degrees Venus, 6 degrees cusp. So Venus is very, very much aligned with the cusp of the 3rd house in Libra in Hasta. And here you have the most profitable painter who ever lived. And arguably the most amazing, talented painter. But let's just go through all these things. Does he have a good character, Pablo Picasso? Well, honestly, no. His character was pretty crappy. And so this also impacts a whole bunch of other things. Like, was he very diplomatic? No. Was he able to have very balanced relationships, cooperative relationships? No, he was super dominant and exploitive in his relationships. Was he empathetic, peaceful, and loving? No, he was pretty manipulative and exploitive. From what, of course, I don't know him personally, but from biographies and reports. So why? Why is it that he's got Venus in Libra, but he doesn't have good character in that way? Well, it's always going to be the context that Venus in Libra appears in. First of all, one of the huge things is debilitated Mars. And again, the glasses have to come on, but just to give you the numbers, but this debilitated Mars is really strongly aspecting. It's very close. I think you got 7 degrees out of exact alignment to its 100% aspect. So it's super aspecting that Venus. So that nice Venus in Libra in the 3rd house is getting really strongly influenced by that awful Mars from the 12th house. Debilitated Mars from the 12th house. That's part of the reason. Another part of the reason is that the First Lord is getting super aspected. Again, like super tight. First Lord's Sun is at 3 degrees, and then Saturn is at 9. So again, 6 degrees out of orb, to use Western terminology. 6 degrees out of exact point. So he's getting a lot of Saturnian character. And a lot of Mars energy is affecting his Venus in Libra directly. A lot of Saturn power is affecting his chart. Saturn is also aspecting that Mars. You see Saturn's at 9 and Mars is at 12. So that's almost an exact aspect, semi-sextile, I think they call it, or something, sextile. In Vedic, it's just Saturn's 3rd house aspect to Mars, who's then aspecting Venus. So these malefics are really taking over his chart. So he's got a malefic-dominated chart with a lovely Venus in the 3rd house. Well, not to mention that his moon is very close to Rahu. So he may not be the most stable or ordinary person. Or may not have very reasonable desires. So the things about character and everything are not really the things that show up in him. But the thing about being artistic really does, doesn't it? He did have this trait of being able to relate with others, even foreigners. Artistic is off the charts. Why is it so much off the charts? Because that's where Venus is. It's right on his 3rd house for his hands. It's in Hasta. And although the maleficness in the chart is blocking him from having the nice character of Venus in Libra, it's not blocking him from having the great skill of Venus in Libra. And was he wealthy? Again, same thing. The maleficness is actually helping him earn money. Earning money means taking. And malefics are great at taking. So he really does match this trait of Libra Venus and being very profit savvy and having access to a lot of wealth. So there's the interesting case of Sir Picasso. Let's also look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, you'll see he's got Venus in Libra, of course. And his, just as Picasso's was like right on the 3rd house cusp, Warren Buffett's is right on the 11th house cusp. 11 is house of profit and money. 3rd is house of skill and talent, especially with your hands. So that's the difference between Pablo Picasso's Venus in Libra and Warren Buffett's Venus in Libra. Warren Buffett's going to primarily show it in terms of his ability to make money. And it certainly helps that it's getting amplified by this contact with Ketu, and that it's near the mercantile planet Mercury. And it's in Chitra Nakshatra, which is a planet that knows about valuable things. Chitra Nakshatra is a nakshatra that knows about valuable things. So does he match this basic expectation of good character? Yeah, he has nice character. He's one of the rare examples of a rich person who's not an idiot, who is not a entirely selfish bastard. He has pretty good character. Is he good with leadership and have a great career? Of course. Is he diplomatic and careful? Yes. Is he artistic? Surprisingly, he is a musician. and he plays his ukulele like a lot and very well. And you'll find that with a lot of these people, like the people for whom Libra Venus makes politicians, they still have some residual amount of artistry, and they play saxophone like Bill Clinton, or ukulele like Warren Buffett. So he's a very good example of Libra Venus. And I hope that was fun for you and helps you understand more about what's going on with Libra and Venus, and in general, how you read charts and use basic things like the implications of a planet and a sign in the context of the whole chart. Now, what we do in these videos with the planets and the signs is I show you a consistent technique that you can use for any planet and any sign. And the technique is very simple. You look for where the planet symbolizes something that's very, very similar to what the sign symbolizes. And once you find that, you assess whether or not the planet and the sign are harmonious about that thing, or whether they're antithetical about that thing. The dissonant resonance reveals what's complex or difficult for the native. The harmonious resonance, on the other hand, indicates what's easy, what comes natural, what's an inherent strength for the native. What I'm teaching you really is the method of how to do astrological interpretation by going down into the engine of the symbolism and comparing the parts. The actual interpretation that you should give is going to be individualized per the individual chart. So if you have person A with the moon in Scorpio and person B with the moon in Scorpio, it's not going to be exactly the same interpretation, because person B's moon might have an aspect from something and person A's moon doesn't, etc., 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 etc. But what I'm showing you in the videos is the backbone of what a planet and a sign symbolizes. And once you understand that backbone, you modify it based on the circumstances, the extraneous circumstances that are affecting it in an individual chart. So I hope you really like this system, not just this one video, but all the videos that we do on the planets and the signs. We'll do them all. And I hope you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of those. And I hope to see you around soon. Thank you.